Gojo slash Yuta versus Sukuna. They finally go at it full out. The narrator finally points to a path to victory at the end of this chapter, and more happens in this insane chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Channel the special grade within and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing Jujutsu Kaisen reviews like this one on the channel. I want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the special grade fam by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future Jujutsu Kaisen reviews and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So last chapter, we found out that the Gojo that appeared isn't actually Gojo, but Yuta in Gojo's body. We got the whole flashback that this was a possible plan if Gojo lost, and Gojo agreed to it, even though he obviously thought he wouldn't lose, but still he thought who cares what happens to his body after he's dead. Yuta also insisted, saying who cares if he needs to become a monster and throw away his humanity to beat Sukuna, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to say. Some people like Maki tried to stop him, but who are you really helping by trying to keep your humanity if you let Sukuna destroy the world and all those in it? I definitely see Yuta's perspective. The ends definitely justify the means in this situation. And it definitely has cool Batman vibes that I always appreciate. If you haven't already, smash that like button for Yuta Batman. We also went through how Yuta trained in Gojo's body and how he was not only related to Gojo, but could have been even more blessed than him. This all positions him as the perfect controller of Gojo's body if Gojo should fail, and that brings us here to where Sukuna is now fighting someone who it's been suggested may be able to surpass even Gojo. Not to mention, Sukuna has taken countless amounts of damage and wasted insane amounts of stamina up to this point, although I'll be the first to admit he does a good job of not showing it, as even up to the end of the last chapter, Sukuna activated Malevolent Shrine while Yuta activated Unlimited Void. I will say it would be cool if this version of Gojo did beat Sukuna, because it would give us a bit of redemption for Gojo's previous claim of being able to win against Sukuna. The other thing to consider is that Yuta doesn't have Gojo's overconfidence, and he, unlike Gojo, might be willing to accept any help he can get. And speaking of that, the perfect help seems to present itself at the end of this chapter, but more on that later. We see that Jujutsu Kaisen is dominating this cover of Weekly Shonen Jump. You got Yuji colored in the center, and then black and white versions of Gojo and Yuta and others. Yes, my boy Toto's there too. It's reminding us who the main character is though, and although I do feel like Yuta Gojo will play a key role in defeating Sukuna, Yuji definitely will too. Unlike with Gojo's fight, that this will be a team effort, there's no doubt in my mind. We also get a color spread of Yuta, Gojo, and Sukuna facing away from each other, as we're told the King of Curses and the Prodigy of the Modern Era, the two faced off in their altered forms. Very hype, and honestly this body swap with Gojo feels very Jujutsu Kaisen. It's always been that dark series where eerie stuff like this can happen, and it honestly fits the whole show, even though I know not everyone may be a fan of this development. So we get back to the domain expansions, and we're told Yuta and Sukuna are in the shrunken barrier we see floating in front of Yuji and Toto. There's no doubt in my mind they will not finish off Sukuna within the barrier while Yuji waits outside. Yuji is definitely gonna have to be involved in the final push, so we can expect that the fight won't be decided in this current one-on-one within the barrier. Still, it's going to be fun to see what this new and improved Yuta can do. So we see the insane manifestation of the domains. We are told that the countermeasure Gojo Satoru worked out against Sukuna's domain was a quote-unquote shrunken barrier. For approximately 3 minutes, it is possible to withstand the effects of Malevolent Shrine beating down on the barrier from outside the domain. Here Yuta thinks, and I quote, "Doing switch training with Gojo Sensei allowed me to elevate my barrier techniques too. Taking Sukuna's fatigue into account, I should be able to stall the domain for 3 minutes like Gojo Sensei did." End quote. On a side note, I feel like if we're actually taking Sukuna's fatigue into account, this battle should already be over, man. This guy just won't quit. But Sukuna, on the other hand, was able to rid himself of the previously imposed 99-second time limit by restricting Malevolent Shrine's effective range to only the outline of Yuta's domain. Gotta love how creative and flexible you can be with these restrictions in Jujutsu Kaisen. This is definitely one of the most unique battle systems in my opinion. And again, it has that cool eerie vibe as well that you don't always see. So like we often do, we get a number for all of this to potentially be decided. 3 minutes. Yuta thinks that within these 3 minutes, I'll damage Sukuna to the point that he can't maintain Malevolent Shrine, while Sukuna confidently thinks, and I quote, "I don't need 3 minutes. I'll destroy Unlimited Void and expand my effective range. This time, I'll be sure to slaughter them all," end quote. Say what you will about how long this fight is, because it is definitely a very long fight, but at the same time, it definitely serves to build up Sukuna as one of the biggest monsters in shonen. This King of Curses dude, after everything, can still act and think so confidently. One thing's for sure, when they do finally defeat him, it will feel so well earned because everyone has been killing themselves for I don't know how long anymore, and Sukuna still looks like he's winning. Sukuna quickly pulls off a surprise when he unexpectedly punches Yuta multiple times in the face. Yuta thinks to himself, and I quote, "He bypassed infinity with domain amplification, so he's able to activate it while using domain expansion," end quote. Crazy to think how broken Sukuna is even after all that fatigue he should have built up. And Sukuna for his part smiles, thinking, and I quote, "Naturally, what occurred within a domain your little crows couldn't even enter wouldn't be known by you all," end quote. So clearly, and perhaps as expected, Yuta didn't inherit all of Gojo's memories from the body. But again, I do wonder how much of Gojo can get through the body. Is it really an empty but powerful shell, or will the will of Gojo, in whatever small manner, manifest itself through the body at some point? It is somewhat as powerful as Gojo's body after all, so that's something to keep an eye on too. And if he was able to take control in some kind of way for a limited time or not, and he was able to defeat Sukuna, it would make his previous statement about being able to defeat Sukuna truer. But then again, maybe the mangaka doesn't care about Gojo being fully wrong, we'll see. So right now it is looking very bad for Yuta. Sukuna has the upper hand. Yuta didn't have all the facts and was thus caught by surprise. What hope do we possibly have against this guy who seems to keep going in epic fashion no matter how much fatigue he seems to accumulate? Well, it seems the answer is in the next few panels. We jump from the epic fight that just started to Rika, the Queen of Curses herself. She is crying while holding Yuta's empty, lifeless body. She says Yuta's name, and we actually get a close-up of Yuta's closed eyes, an interesting choice I'll get back to. We're told that Rika is fully manifested now, however, ... Let me know your thoughts on where you think we're going from here, but I definitely think that the Queen of Curses will be key to taking down the King of Curses, Sukuna. Think about how crazy Rika has been so far. Not just crazy powerful, which she has been, but how crazy in terms of being jealous and overprotective. Now this to me seems like the calm before the storm. What can make her freak out and summon more energy than holding her love's lifeless body, the one she would freak out over if someone even got too close? Rika has consistently been emphasized throughout the story, and specifically her great power and love for Yuta. So it definitely seems that is now going to come to a climax with this turn of events. At this point, I can't be sure how she's going to go about attacking Sukuna, but I must say it is an interesting choice to zoom in on Yuta's closed eyes. When we see stuff like that, we expect those eyes to open. Is this foreshadowing that she'll take control of his body and bring it to the battlefield, or was it just a coincidence that we got a close-up of the eyes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Definitely an interesting choice, whatever happens. Either way, we are no doubt going to use everyone's help to defeat Sukuna. And it's been a while since I've seen fully manifested Rika go berserk, and we could use that on Sukuna right about now. When we consider this could be her final fight, it also makes me wonder if there's the potential for that classic shonen ability, in one form or another, where you sacrifice your life energy or sometimes lifespan to momentarily gain insane levels of power. I also think Yuta will not be as underwhelming as this opening to the fight is leading us to believe. We all know Jujutsu Kaisen loves its twists and its back and forths. Yes, he got caught off guard because he didn't have all the facts, but there is no way all that buildup of Yuta's character was for nothing. Think about it. Gojo long ago felt confident that Yuta could eventually close the gap between them. Then there was the mention of him possibly being more blessed than even Gojo, and now he has Gojo's body to work with as well. I think all of this has been leading up to Yuta stepping up and making Gojo proud. I think he'll give Sukuna a whole lot more problems than Sukuna expects, and this beginning of the fight is no doubt misleading. That being said, I really think it won't be decided within the barrier. The key difference here is that Yuta will get help from those around him and accept it in a way that Gojo didn't, and because of that, I think it'll put our side over the top. As cheesy as it sounds, I think it will boil down to teamwork, something that definitely wasn't Gojo's forte. Now, you may have noticed already, but this chapter was way shorter than usual. It seems like the mangaka needs a break, and the end of this chapter says that Jujutsu Kaisen is returning in 21 days, so hopefully that next issue will deliver a full-length chapter. The way I see it, we should look at it as the mangaka wanting to take his time at this critical point to think out how he wants to wrap up the fight and the series, because believe it or not, it is close to over, and it would be a shame for him to just push out whatever at this point because of the pressure to release something. So hopefully these 3 weeks will give the mangaka the chance to refresh his own stamina, and we're heading then full steam ahead towards a strong finish. But that is it for this one. Chill a special grade within and smash that like button if you enjoy these Jujutsu Kaisen reviews and want to keep them coming. If you haven't, make this the video you joined the special grade fam by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future Jujutsu Kaisen reviews and updates. And since we're at the home stretch now, it's definitely not the time to miss out. If in this chapter you enjoyed seeing special grade squared Yuta Gojo in action, then you won't want to miss my video on all special grade sorcerers and their powers explained. Link on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.